Howdy. Thought I'll just do a little bit of a welcome video. Saves me from typing my fingers till they're bleeding. Thank you, Jeroen. I assume that's how you pronounce your name. And thank you, Dale, for being willing to get involved. So just to give you a little bit of an overview, I was looking at doing some sort of improved Harvard. I can't even remember really now what I was thinking at the time. That was maybe 5-6 years back, and I didn't have access to blueprints at that point, and I was sort of realizing that I'm just running into a bit of a dead end without using blueprints, because no matter what I would put down would not be correct. So I looked on eBay. I mean, I'd heard of a few folks buying CDs of blueprints off eBay. Decided to take the plunge, pay a couple of $100, take a chance that I actually get a CD with blueprints on it. Did that, got my CD. It did have, it wasn't quite what I was expecting. I was sort of never seen a blueprint set before, to be honest. I was expecting something more organized and clear and easy to get into, and what I was faced with was just thousands of files without much indication of what you were opening. So you had to sort of sit there and open blueprint after blueprint after blueprint and give them more meaningful names. Separate the sort of meaningless, excruciatingly tiny detail pieces from the reasonably big airframe pieces. And eventually sort of started getting order in my set of blueprints, some of which were scanned with a darker, sort of less brightness on the image, some with more brightness on the image, because as I was gathering to actually create prints from the microfiche, which all of these things came from, was quite a challenging job. A little bit astonishing that a company like North American would not have put their blueprints onto something more meaningful for people. But anyway, who knows what goes on behind the scenes, and whether they care who can obtain blueprints for Harvards or not. I mean, it's like the most popularly owned warbird out there. Anyway, then aircore library started sort of coming online, and I decided to take the plunge and get into that, partially because I realized I was missing a couple of things. I just wasn't finding certain blueprints that I really should be finding. So between aircore library and my CD, I've reached the point where I have access to everything that I need. Then I decided to start doing a trial build of a 1/7 scale Harvard from blueprints to try and figure out the usage of the blueprints, how to get things to fit, how it all works, and so on. And that is in progress. Got set aside for 1.5 years, but I'm picking that up again. And I have decided to do that in 1/3 and 1/7 scale for now, or maybe 1/6. I'm still thinking about it. 1/7 is not bad. 1/6 is better. Obviously, for the bulk of RC flyers, they're going to want 1/4 and 1/5, and that's no problem for our project, because we can scale the things and have them available. Now obviously during all of my searches for reasonable drawings and reasonable plans for the Harvard, I was just disappointed over and over and over again, because even people that had put in a fairly good effort into the drawing had exceptionally blatant faults on their drawings, which is understandable if you don't have blueprints to work from. So there, as far as I'm aware, and from all the sets I've seen, no single set is worthwhile, and in fact the Zeroli is pretty awful. Once I'd cut my blueprints and I scaled them up to 1/5, compared them against the Zeroli prints, I was like, okay, that's it. I had been sort of thinking to even tackle the Zeroli 1/5 just as a sideline project, but it's just not worth putting effort into something that is so wrong. Here and there's a few people that have built 1/3 Harvards, and I'm not sure what they used to produce those aircraft. So some people may have in fact been using some sort of more accurate set, maybe even blueprints themselves, though I have to say from going through blueprint sets, you have to be a pretty dedicated builder to establish the correct airframe from blueprints. The searching and fitting and scaling and all that sort of thing is quite a job. Okay, so that brings us to me finding or putting out requests on this RC plans page, which I hadn't really been part of much. I hadn't actually thought that there were people that were doing the high quality drawing or modeling that it seems that you guys are partaking in. I thought it was more just a collection of available plans and builders grabbing them and doing what they wanted with them. So I have done technical drawing, I've done engineering. My current work is I did a degree in computer science programming, and I'm currently a software tester. I haven't touched CAD for ages, though I do have. I've set up Fusion 360 to start with, but really I'm not keen to do a project where somebody with your skills was bypassed. I'd rather have someone that was really skilled with it doing these things, and me overseeing the accuracy, supplying blueprints, supplying dimensions, problem solving, troubleshooting, and so on. So I'm rather grateful that you guys are willing to do it, and I'm actually in a way glad that it's in at least 2 packages. I wouldn't mind at all if we did this thing in the Rhino, Fusion 360, and SolidWorks. Now I don't have SolidWorks, but I can see the absolute value in having a blueprinted Harvard for whoever wants it. Harvard owners, model builders, whatever you name it, which hopefully will just put all other plan sets out of usage once this blueprinted set comes out. I was pondering what we should call it, because it's nice to have your name on a set like the Zeroli Harvard, but since this is a group thing and no one person's name is relevant, I imagine it would just be called something like the Blueprinted Harvard Plans or something like that. Now I don't know to what degree you guys may work faster than I supply stuff, slower than I supply stuff, and that doesn't really matter as long as motivation is maintained and we just keep the project rolling really well. I will be continuing with this 1/7 and the 1/3, which helps me understand and gather the correct blueprints, use the blueprints, the fit of parts, and how this may all come together. My goal is, of course, a fiberglass fuselage with full detail fiberglass skins. The fact that we're doing it in Rhino, and Dale, your choice of I don't know, Fusion 360 or SolidWorks, whatever you feel is the better one, or even both at the same time. In fact, to be honest, I'm guessing that if you're doing it in one, bringing it into the other is a low percentage of work compared to producing it in the other in the first place. Now, I'm also not knowledgeable on the exact nature of how you structure the drawings for a 3D model and then also have 3 views from that, as well as all the bulkhead views and all that. So Dale, that's in your hands. I'm far more familiar with the 3 view style of drawing, which I learned as well, which Jeroen will be doing. Now, so that one little picture that I sent through, that I can't remember where that picture comes from. It's just one of the available somewhat accurate drawings, but what it does have is the stations on it and the reference lines. So that was just a little starting point to get an idea of where the lines are that I will be supplying you dimensions for. So I have got I'll just give you a quick idea of some of the stuff that's going to be coming your way. So for instance, that is the center section showing the cutout for the fuel tanks and so on. So we've got stringer locations, former shapes exactly, dimensions, obviously. I mean, look, obviously nothing we do is going to be manufactured. This is all absolutely from blueprints. The end plates on the center section, the end covers with the 128 bolt holes. Pretty important piece actually. Empennage. Going to be a fair bit of construction in the back there. A better view of the stations and dimensions on the empennage. Now obviously I've also got everything in between down to this is a lower partial bulkhead piece behind the rear cockpit. We've got center section. This is lower surface. So very good stuff. All the blueprint reference numbers I want to be linked somehow so that we ourselves and others can cross-reference anything they want. I haven't figured out how exactly we'll do that. So it's almost like a extra tag, extra label. Keep in mind one thing. Some drawings may have different series blueprint numbers. So they can be exactly the same drawing, same dimensions and everything, but provided possibly under T6C, T6D, T6G variations, of which there were, for the bulk of parts, no changes. Things like the panel before the windscreen and including the windscreen fitment. That's actually a piece I'm busy with at the moment. Trying to get that right. So this is a piece built from blueprint pieces, trying to get the curvatures and everything right. This piece came out pretty well, but I'm busy on the next version of that to improve it even more. We have got things like the panel underneath the front, which contains a partial cutout of the undercarriage for the wheels. So this is a straight bottom view. This is a straight front view. That is quite a tricky part, one of the more tricky parts. There's a few parts on the Harvard that are going to be, I'm not sure if they're going to be that difficult to build, to draw, but they're certainly very tricky to build. The complex curves. The most tricky single part on the Harvard by far is it's a two-piece part which fits the front of the fuselage. I'll just show you here actually. So it is the part which then forms the wheel, the part of the wheel cover onto the center section, as well as a part of this cover here. So it's a two-piece fixture. I'm also going to be doing fillets. These I was taking a random chance on producing fillets there, which was an absolute mess. I've now got all the formers and templates and profiles, so I'll be producing the three straight fillet pieces, and then this piece actually worked out pretty well without me, just me doing shaping. Actually very happy with that piece, but it wasn't produced from it wasn't produced using all of the blueprints available, only some. So I'll be doing a more improved piece there, and so on. Okay. Right, so that little image that I showed you, which is that one, the starting point, and I mean, you guys must get stuck in, do your framework lines as you see fit, and then sort of know what you'll be waiting for from me. So you've got your fuselage reference, you've got your thrust lines, you know that you've got various station lines. So your firewall here is station 0. As I said, we're going to be leaving out the cowling for now, completely separate part. These panels we'll be handling independently later. So we're going to be starting with getting this section correct, that, and empennage. So we're leaving off all the peripherals, everything except getting your main, the main part of the fuselage established, so that onto that we fit the correct extra bits. Now, please note that from here all the way to the back there isn't a single curve on the fuselage. Straight panel, a straight line and a separate straight line forming the side panel. So that being a removable piece, there's no curvature there. There's no curvature there. That joins at an angle. There's no curvature on there, and there's no curvature on there. That there is a single straight line on top view. I'm talking on top view. If you look down, there's no curvature on that line. It is a dead straight stringer, longeron. That piece there. That there, another separate straight. There's a slight angle change on that one. Angle change again on that one. If you look at a removed side panel on the aircraft, you'll see that there's a little bit of difference in construction there. No problem, I've got all the dimensions for that. And that is what we will be looking at for our start, is getting the heights. Now obviously there's that cutout there, so up to around there, that's a straight line going into there. Straight line going into there. You can leave that cut out for now. We'll be doing all the formers. We will be doing getting the dimensions above and below this fuselage reference line. In fact, to be honest, the thrust line at this stage is not even going to come into play because we're not going to be doing anything with that engine area at this stage. Where we're at 20 minutes, I don't want to make this too long, but I just wanted to give you a fair intro. I'll just show you this as well. A fair intro into what's going to be happening. So that is the station minus 31. Some of the stations are labeled minus because they're forward of the, so that's got the forward of the of station 0 firewall. That is the exhaust cutout there. There we have one of the views of the firewall. As I said, there are two firewalls. So there's a front view and a rear view. The mating surfaces are obviously mainly just bolt holes and all the holes for everything to go through. They've got slight differences on the two firewall pieces for the purposes of the ancillaries area of the engine, allowing for some air outlet. It's this area here. So that area being open, so your one firewall being the 4 one allows for this allows for these panels to be attached. It's got those little extra things. When you look at the drawings, you'll see the little rectangular connectors, and then the rear facing one doesn't have that and is a slightly smaller one. The bulk of the functional surface of the firewalls obviously is the same. And this is a single piece but showing two side bulkhead pieces. So all that stuff in the middle is just dimensions. It's not present on the aircraft, but it's important for us to have the a single piece showing all the showing the maximum dimension and positioning and so on. This one is I suspect 106, station 106. I assume both of you are extremely familiar with working in decimal and imperial and the conversion of imperial using either the, for instance, 21.8 inches or in or the style of 21 and 3/16 inches. I assume you're both extremely familiar with that. Shout if you don't understand any terminology that I used at any time. I can't really think of anything else to say at this point. Oh yes, no, I was saying I was going to put up documents and things. I don't want random bits of information to be unfollowable, if that makes sense. I want our discussions and intent to be almost like a stream of chat, so that you can see what happened, previous agreements on how this works, how that works, where this fits, whatever, etc. Apart from that, so I will be making videos from time to time just to discuss random things, and so can you guys if you feel like doesn't really matter that much. But I will be putting up the blueprint images probably onto Google Docs, Google Drive, whatever, as well as I'll email the link when I've written a little bit more, just to follow some of my thinking on the intent for the actual plans, scalability, the balsa or wood constructional side of it, etc. So that there'll be, or put it differently, the intention is that on Google Docs we allow for a discussional record of everything. So you guys can also write in the same document your proposal, your thoughts, your ideas on certain things as we progress the project. Yeah, so feel free to ask questions if you have any questions about anything at this stage. This is my hobby working area. And I've got a cabinet full of models here and a zillion things waiting to be done. Okay guys, thanks. I'll end it here. 25 minutes worth of video. Cool. Cheers.